The compound measure of speed. Hi students, in this module you will learn about the compound measure of speed, which connects the amount of distance traveled with the time taken. We will then consider calculations involving the speed of a moving object in the context of real-life scenarios. Compound measures compare two linked units of measurements in relation to one another. Based on this definition, we can see that average speed fits the basic criteria of a compound measure, as it links the amount of distance traveled with the time taken to cover the distance. Average speed is typically measured in meters per second, kilometers per hour, or miles per hour. Mathematical units of a compound measure provides clues as to the formula used to derive it. For example, since per means divide, the unit meters per second, abbreviated as shown, means meters divided by seconds. Based on the units meters per second, kilometers per hour, or miles per hour, we can derive the formula of average speed as speed equals distance divided by time. A simple question relating to this will be, Oliver completes a 30-meter sprint in 4 seconds, while Daniel covers the same distance in 5.12 seconds. Based on these times, Oliver is leading, but how do their average speeds compare? Sean from Newton class volunteered to complete some calculations on the whiteboard. Why not pause the video to see if you arrive at the same answer as Sean? Well done students. Since Oliver covers 30 meters in 4 seconds, this means his average speed can be calculated by dividing 30 meters by 4 seconds to get 7.5 meters per second. And since Daniel covers 30 meters in 5.12 seconds, this means his average speed can be calculated by dividing 30 meters by 5.12 seconds to give an average speed of 5.9 meters per second to one decimal place. Let's work through another example. Listen carefully to the elements of the question that you will need to input into the speed formula. Blaze, a high school athlete with extraordinary speed, completes a 200-meter sprint in an astonishing new world record time of 19.01 seconds. Why not pause the video and see if you can calculate Blaze's average speed? From the information provided in the question, we know that the distance traveled by Blaze is 200 meters and the time taken was 19.01 seconds. Dividing these two values as shown on the board shows that Blaze ran with an average speed of 10.5 meters per second to one decimal place. In our exams, we could also be asked to compare the time it takes for two vehicles to cover a certain distance. For example, Awad drove a white Lamborghini on a desert track time trial and took 2.5 minutes to cover a 5-mile journey. Abdullah drives a red Lamborghini over the same distance and clocked an average speed of 149.13 kilometers per hour. He believes he completed the journey in a quicker time than Awad. Why not pause the video and do some quick calculations to see if he is correct? Average speed is not typically represented in miles per minute. For a clearer speed comparison with Abdullah's 143.19 kilometers per hour, we also need to represent Awad's speed in kilometers per hour. Since there are 1.609 kilometers in a mile, there will be 5 times this value in 5 miles. So by completing the calculation 5 times 1.609, we can say that 5 miles is equal to 8.045 kilometers. We also need to convert 2.5 minutes to hours. Since there are 60 minutes in an hour, we can represent 2.5 minutes as a fraction of an hour as shown visually here. We can also combine the two bits of data and say that Awad traveled a distance of 8.045 kilometers in 0.0416 recurring hours. Awad's average speed is therefore found by dividing 8.045 kilometers divided by 0.0416 hours to give an average speed of 193.13 kilometers per hour to one significant figure. Awa therefore had a faster average speed than Abdullah. Let's try one more final question. How long would it take for Abdullah to complete the 5-mile journey traveling at an average speed of 143.19 kilometers per hour? Why not pause the video and complete some quick calculations to find out? Okay students, let's review our answers. Let's consider the pieces of the puzzle. We know Abdullah drove the red Lamborghini with an average speed of 149.1 kilometers per hour. We know the time trial distance is 5 miles, which we previously worked out to be 8.045 kilometers. Our first step is to organize all of that information into the speed equation. To do this, we would say 149.13 kilometers per hour is equal to 8.045 kilometers divided by time. In this question, we do not know the value of time, and time is here represented as our denominator. Our first equation simplifying step will be to get rid of time as a denominator. So we are going to multiply both sides of the equation by time. That will leave us with 149.13 kilometers per hour times time is equal to 8.045 kilometers. Because this question is asking us to find the time it took for Abdullah to complete the time trial, we need to get time by itself. To do this, we will divide both sides of the equation by 149.13 kilometers per hour. This will leave us with time is equal to 0.05 hours to one significant figure. Since we know that 1 hour equals 60 minutes, we can multiply both sides of the equation by 0.05 to get that 0.05 hours is equal to 3 minutes. Therefore, we can say that it took Abdullah 3 minutes to one significant figure to complete the desert time trial. In this lesson, we have learnt that speed is a measure of the distance traveled by an object in a given amount of time in the context of real life examples. I really hope you've enjoyed this lesson. Why not think about some real life scenarios where our knowledge of speed calculations will be useful? Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe for more Igcse maths content. For online group Igcse maths tuition, don't forget to visit www.abacademytuition.com.